For futuristic racing fans who preferred the game on PlayStations, they could always count on a WipEout game to be released on them, ever since the original PlayStation, and even on the PSP and Vita handhelds. While it remains to be seen if the series' perfect attendance record will continue on the PlayStation 5, the streak currently ends on the PlayStation 4 with WipEout Omega Collection, a remaster of WipEout HD, its HD Fury DLC expansion, and WipEout 2048, all originally developed by Studio Liverpool, and brought to a new console generation in 2017 by XDev, Clever Beans, and Creative Vault Studios. Omega Collection leverages the superior power of the PlayStation 4 to make each title look and run faster than ever, without altering the stellar gameplay, and even throws in a few new extra bits, resulting in a polished futuristic racing experience that also feels better to play. So with introductions out of the way, this is WipEout Omega Collection, a high-speed, higher fidelity anti-grav revamp.
Welcome to the metered K.
WipEout Omega Collection is all about piloting anti-gravity, combat-ready racing ships across a multitude of futuristic racing circuits. While the collection is split between HD and 2048 modes, the core racing feel remains the same. I've always described WipEout's feel as more on the floaty side, and you maneuver your ship kind of like a speedboat, as it bobs and weaves on turns and jumps. However, the controls are very snappy, so you can make quick decisions to adapt to the ever-changing flow of the race. Optimal racing comes down to mastering the many techniques your ship is capable of, and utilizing track elements that allow for speed boosts and offensive and defensive maneuvers. To navigate complex turns, hitting the air brakes to the left or right will aid you in cornering, but also slows you down the longer you hold the buttons. Quickly double tapping either one of the air brakes will cause a side shift, which quickly shifts your ship sideways, and is a faster way to make turns if you approach them at a good angle. Whenever your ship gains enough height and distance while airborne, quickly steering left, right, then left, or vice versa will cause your ship to barrel roll, and will give you a speed boost if you landed in time, but at the cost of some of your ship's energy. As for the colored pads you see on every track, blue arrows are speed boosts, and red, yellow, or green X's give you weapons, ranging from miniguns, a shield, a temporary autopilot, and a devastating quake. Knowing when and how to use each weapon is important, but sometimes choosing to absorb them instead is a better idea. Whenever you hit obstacles, or take damage from other racers' weapons, your ship loses energy, and if your meter hits 0, you're eliminated. Absorbing weapons replenishes a bit of your energy, and the more useful the weapon, like a turbo boost, the more energy gets restored. But back on the topic of offense, getting eliminated isn't just a problem you have to deal with. The same is true for your opponents. If they take enough damage, they can also be permanently taken out of a race. While the weapons do introduce a degree of chance, racing fast and fighting smart will ultimately determine the winner.
Race complete.
Omega Collection's tracks are set on various locales from around a futuristic Earth during 2 distinct time periods. The HD tracks are designed more like dedicated racing circuits, with a lot more liberties taken on how the track layouts twist and turn, and set in more fantastical high-tech environments. The 2048 tracks wind through city streets and off-road areas, and incorporate some hovering roads to take you places beyond the tarmac, resulting in a more grounded or realistic look. I'll elaborate more on this later, but there are also a few tracks exclusive to a special mode called Zone Mode, set in a monochromatic dimension of sorts. Effortlessly riding on walls, loops, and 90-degree drops are made possible thanks to mag strip sections. Each course is filled with gorgeous set pieces to race through, like the underwater tunnels of Veneta K, weaving around the Amphiseum, taking in the sights and heights of Ultima, or soaring through the skies of Sol 2. Oftentimes turbo and weapon pads are next to each other on the track, forcing you to choose one over the other depending on your current situation, but there are a few arrangements that allow for both. It's worth noting that weapon pads temporarily deactivate for a few seconds if someone ahead of you acquired a weapon from it. You'll know when the color comes back that it's active again. Like the tracks, most of the playable ships in Omega Collection come from previous WipEout titles, each belonging to one of many international racing teams. There's the HD remastered ships, improved redesigns of those ships that were introduced in WipEout HD Fury, all the variations of the 2048 ships, and some exclusive to special modes like the Zone and Detonator modes. The ships from each team excel in different areas, like my preferred team, Phizar, with ships that take corners with ease, but still have enough speed to keep up on straights, or teams Icarus and Orichalcum if I need something a bit faster. Some teams I'll race with every now and then simply because I think their crafts look cool, like Goteki 45. Not every ship is a rehash though. 2 additional teams with new ships were added to Omega Collection. Tigron, another personal favorite of mine, and Van Uber, which are both playable in the WipEout HD mode. Remote-specific ships, which share the same design between teams, also share the same stats across the board, so there's no disadvantage to picking your favorite team over another one that's normally different. The ships come in various shapes, sizes, and even a few colors, so combined with their performance metrics in top speed, handling, thrust, and durability, there will undoubtedly be a machine that suits your preferences. While I had already played a good amount of WipEout HD, what drew me into playing that game's content all over again was just how much better Omega Collection made everything look. The original game was already a beauty in terms of presentation, and the improved graphical capabilities of the PlayStation 4 did nothing but favors for the visuals, all while keeping the frame rate at a solid 60 frames. The benefits were even more appreciated on the WipEout 2048 side, bringing a Vita game into high definition and increasing the performance from 30 to 60 frames per second. For those with the PlayStation 4 Pro, the game can look even better at a 4K resolution. Every model and texture is highly detailed, very legible, very colorful, and when combined with cinematic motion blur, makes races a feast for the eyes with an impressive sense of speed. I love a good light or vapor trail in racing games, and Omega Collection has a great one. It's a neat visual touch to show off a vehicle's speed and agility. Or if you'd prefer to take a closer look at all the finer details, you can enter a photo mode at any time to capture how gorgeous this game looks. That's not to say everything from the original games made its way to Omega Collection. A notable point of contention has been the changes in music. An all-new playlist of licensed electronic songs replaced those featured in HD in 2048. Preferences like this are a very subjective matter, so speaking only for myself, while I initially found the different songs jarring as someone who enjoyed the old ones, the new music grew on me over time, and I found new favorite tunes to race with. In an ideal world, obviously the option to select or mix between the original and new playlist would have been the way to go. The loss of the custom soundtrack feature from WipEout HD stings a lot more. While you can still play your own music during gameplay, WipEout HD integrated any song into the game proper, meaning audio effects were dynamically applied to the music. There's been an assortment of WipEout tribute albums created by fans over the years, including 2 meant to be used as unofficial original soundtracks for HD and Omega Collection. So not being able to race along to these beats properly, like it's the PS3 days all over again, is sorely missed. But back to some more praise, the sound effects for the ships as they accelerate, boost, and brake work perfectly for this game's sense of speed. And the ship's system voices that let you know which weapon you've picked up, and which ones nearby opponents have used to help you anticipate them, sound as cool as they are useful.
Missile. Cannon.
If you're a fan of single-player campaign modes in your racing games, Omega Collection has you covered 3 times over. The entirety of the WipEout HD, HD Fury, and 2048 campaigns are included, and you can freely progress between all of them at any time. Each campaign lets you race on all the tracks and event types each side of the collection has to offer, and will keep you entertained for quite some time if you play through them all. Between all 3 campaigns, and the events present in the WipEout HD campaign, there's of course standard single races, with the exciting fast-paced combat racing the series is known for. Time trials challenge you to finish a set number of laps within a time limit, with 1 turbo to use wherever you think it will save the most time. Likewise, speed lap events play by similar rules, but with a time limit for finishing a singular lap, and you're given a few laps to beat the record if you don't get it on the first attempt. Most interesting of all is Zone Mode, an endurance test that challenges you to complete as many laps around a track as possible until your energy runs out, and your ship goes faster the longer you survive. The catch is that your ship's acceleration and speed increases are automatic. You only control the steering and air brakes, which naturally become more difficult as you go faster. To make navigating the track easier, and as a cool visual change of pace, the track and background details are simplified yet stylized, so you can focus better on the track, but there's some dynamic color switching going on in the background as you clear more zones and the difficulty intensifies. Tournaments are multi-race challenges where you earn points at the end of every race based on how well you finished, and the highest scoring racer at the end wins. When you finish a race with the event's specific clear conditions, you'll be awarded a medal or pass. Clearing events unlocks more of them to play, and once you've cleared enough, you can move on to the next set of events. You can change the difficulty of the computer opponents or the clear conditions at any point if you want to tone things down or ramp things up. As you progress through events, you'll be racing on faster speed classes, which will make you a better racer, as you learn how to take more optimal lines to keep up with the competition and away from the walls. Additionally, for every event that you finish, you'll be awarded loyalty points for the team you raced with, and the amount is determined by how many laps you completed, and bonuses based on the difficulty level and any laps where you didn't hit any walls. When you hit certain point milestones for a given team, you'll unlock alternative skins for their ships, and extras like different HUD styles based on past WipEout games. The HD Fury campaign features the same race types on a new set of tracks, plus some new battle-focused events. Eliminator is a different take on the race to be first, with the winner being the most offensive with weapon usage to earn points the fastest. For every successful attack or elimination via a weapon, you'll earn points, and the first to reach the points target wins. There is no limit on how many laps are taken, and to keep the competition together, you can turn your ship around at any time, so firing a weapon like a rocket or quake as you now face the pack head-on can rack up your score considerably. In addition to solo zone events, there are also zone battles, where you race against opponents to clear zones as fast as possible. There's a meter at the bottom of the screen that builds when going over boost pads. When the meter starts to glow, hitting the weapon button will allow you to jump into a faster zone, and leaves behind a barrier that opponents can run into which slows them down and reduces their meter bit, which can also be done to you. The longer the meter, the more zones you'll jump through, and the first to reach the target number of zones wins. Detonator is another zone mode of sorts, but turns the event into a shoot 'em up. The weapon button now shoots a limited number of shots at targets on the track to earn points, and your ammo reloads whenever you run out, or can be done manually. There's also a bomb somewhere on the track on each lap, which you either want to shoot for more points, or at least avoid running into both it and the other targets to preserve your energy. You also build up an EMP, which can clear a sizable amount of the targets and potentially a bomb in front of you when things start to get faster and more cluttered. The goal is to score as many points as possible, and also, if you can manage it, survive every single lap until the end. The 2048 campaign is a mix of events from HD and HD Fury, featuring single races, time trials, eliminator races, now called combat races, and zone mode. What's different here is that some events impose some kind of rule or restriction, like a single lap race, only certain weapons are allowed, or selectable ships from a specific team. Zone events can also be played using any ship with their unique stats. As you clear events, you'll rank up, and at specific rank levels, you'll unlock additional ships and A+ and prototype challenges. The former featuring 10-lap races at the fastest speed with the most difficult opponents, with some ridiculously aggressive rubber banding, and the latter with various event types that you have to clear with a new prototype ship, acting as a tutorial for understanding the idiosyncrasies that come with each of them, and clearing each one unlocks a ship for use in races. If you'd like to race on your own terms, you can head to the race box, where you can play with any combination of rules and settings between WipEout HD or 2048 modes. This is also where you can have 2-player local split-screen races. Online races are also available, and while finding other players these days is possible, there's a few caveats to be mindful of. The first is that the game separates lobbies based on region, but everyone still playing can be found under the European region. While it's not guaranteed that you'll find players whenever you go online, if you catch someone at the right time, there should be plenty of room for you to join their lobby. Whoever's the lobby's host has control over the race type and settings, but you can view the configuration at the bottom of the screen as they're making changes, so you can decide if how they're playing is okay with you before a race starts. I didn't play online back when the game launched, so online WipEout racing against the remaining and dedicated competition leaves little room for error, but it was still a fun time whenever I was able to keep up the pace. As an added bonus for PlayStation 4 Pro owners, they can also use the PSVR headset to play in a VR mode that puts them right in the cockpit, to experience the action from an impressive new perspective. If I ever get the opportunity to give this mode a shot, I'm taking it, because it's easily the most interesting new addition that Omega Collection brought to the WipEout experience. Like any remaster or compilation, depending on how familiar you were with the sum of WipEout Omega Collection's parts, its mileage will vary on how much you'll get out of this game when it comes to reason to play it from the start again. But the mark of any fun quality game, in this case 3 games, is that it's still fun no matter how much you've played it, and that was reason enough for me to pick up the game when it launched, and to play it some more years later so that I could talk about it here. It's content rich, visually appealing, I'd personally say has great music, and plays like a futuristic racing dream. And if you haven't played a WipEout game before and are looking for a great place to start, you're in for quite a ride if you decide to make Omega Collection your first one. As always, this has been fun, and I'm already looking forward to covering another amazing racing game. So I hope you'll check out what I've got in store for next time, and thank you for watching.
Race complete. First place.